Hello and welcome back for another episode of the Fit 40 podcast. Today we're going to be talking about 5 steps to get you toned by summer. Now, before we jump into it, make sure that you are following or you are subscribed wherever you're watching or listening so that way you don't miss another episode. So let's get into it. Basically, the whole reason I brought this up is because almost a week from today marks 12 weeks till summer. We're already under 100 days till summer, and a lot of people right now are still exactly where they were January 1st, if not worse, because this first quarter of the year, it's still crazy hectic. There's sickness going around. There's a million things that get in your way when it comes to New Year's resolutions and things like that. But don't worry, we're going to go over things that you could do today that'll get you in a really good spot by summer. So if you have a vacation you're looking forward to, or it's just a really good way to set a deadline for yourself so you actually start taking action, this is going to help you with that. So step number 1, what is the first thing that we want to do? Understand what's not working. All right. So let's say you haven't gotten sick, or most of the time for this first quarter of the year, you've been able to do the things that you want to do. You just haven't done it. It's like you know exactly what you need to do. You just can't get yourself to do it. All right. Understand why. Why is it that you cannot stick to this? So, for example, like, are you trying to force yourself into doing keto, but you absolutely love carbs? If that's the case, you can find a diet that includes carbohydrates that'll still get you to your goals. Or let's say you're doing these crazy hard workouts and you're doing, like, say, CrossFit or Orange Theory or one of these things where you just feel dead at the end. So you don't really look forward to going back. And you skip 1, then you skip 2, then you skip 3, and here we are weeks later, you're burning money and you're not getting any fitter, and you're in this position where it's like, crap, I got to get back, but you really don't want to. Instead, maybe look up some workouts that don't leave you feeling completely dead and debilitated the rest of the day, because they do exist. And there are gyms out there like the one I used to work at, Gabriel Fitness and Performance in New Jersey. And I know Pratt Performance Systems in New Jersey does it this way as well. Like, very structured strength training where it's like it feels good when you leave. You feel better at the end than you did walking in. And that's a good sign of a good workout. All right. So step number 1, figure out what exactly it is that's not working. Why is this not enjoyable? Why is it not sticky enough to get the job done? All right. Now, once we've established that, what should we do going forward? Like I just hinted at with swapping the workouts, swapping the diet. Number 1, very first thing I would do is, well, even though I'm saying number 1, this is step number 2, is get active. Because, like, if you have fat loss goals, yes, nutrition plays a big role, but getting active is a great first start, because when you get active, it solidifies this identity of I'm fit because you're actively doing something. You're feeling the benefits. It's something that is instantly happening that you can do over and over and over again and feel the benefit immediately, as opposed to nutrition where, yeah, you'll probably feel a little less bloated. You'll probably feel a little bit more energized. But if you're looking at like the scale or inches, it's going to take a little bit of work. So you need something to keep you motivated in the meantime. And for a lot of people, that is getting active. So how do we do that? Easiest one for most people is to get a step goal and stick to it. So I like over 5K, but honestly, if you are super sedentary and don't move at all, like we're talking like 1,000 steps a day, as little as 2,000 a day will get you so much benefit compared to just that 1,000. And when they look at the step counts, like as far as how big it impacts your health, when you go from next to nothing to as little as 2,000, that's where they see the biggest spike. And it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And then somewhere along the line between like 10 to 15K is where it kind of like really starts to not stagnate. You're still getting better and better and better outcomes as the step count goes up. So pretty much try and drive it as high as you can without any negative benefits, like anything, any joint pain on the knees or the ankles if you're predisposed to something like that. So that's why I like getting at least 5K, because many people, if you can get 5 to 7K, that's a really strong baseline. And then if you can bring it up to 7 to 10K, that's like the gold standard. And then once you have done that, or along with that, would be strength training. So when it comes to strength training, you want to hit every single muscle group, because remember, the goal is to get toned. And the way that we get toned is burn body fat, build muscle. And the way to burn the most body fat possible is to hit every single muscle group, not just say, oh, I want to grow my butt, so I'm only going to do bridges, or I want to get abs, so I'm only going to do ab workouts. No, that's not the way your body works. Okay. If you truly want to get abs, you got to see abs by reducing the amount of body fat that you have on your body. And the way that you do that is burn as many calories as you can throughout the day. Now, I'm not a big fan of burning a ton of calories during your workouts, like focusing on that, because it usually leads to poor workouts where you just sweat up a storm. You push yourself too hard to the point where you can't recover. So don't worry about that aspect. Just worry about hitting every single muscle group. So that way you check the box of, I did my strength training, which means I'm going to burn more calories. Don't get into the weeds with this, because that's where a lot of people go wrong. Stick to the basics. Get your training in, make sure that we're progressing over time. So when it comes to strength training, I'm going to be doing next week's episode on exactly how to strength training, go heavy to the point where it makes a change in your body. But so you have something to go off of. When it comes to strength training, you want to be able to progress in weights or reps over time. There are other ways to do progressive overload, but for most people, that's what you want to focus on is let's do more repetitions and let's do more weight over time, because that's going to drive an adaptation in your body to build lean muscle. And when you build lean muscle and you have the nutrition to match where you're in a little bit of a calorie deficit, 99% of every pound you lose is going to be body fat, as opposed to when you don't exercise and you lose weight, it's more like a 60-40, 50-50 split of fat to muscle that you're losing. So this is why you want to stay active when you're trying to lose weight. All right. Next, step number 3 is nutrition. It's food quality first. So focus on the quality first. That way the quantity is so much easier to manage. All right. So when it comes to food quality, I'm talking about making sure that most of the stuff you eat is either whole foods or minimally processed. So what are whole foods? All the single ingredient foods, the perimeter of the grocery store, the lean meats, the fruits, the veggies, all that good stuff, the whole grains, and things like that. And then what do I mean by minimally processed? Basically those same things, but in a more packaged and friendly way. So minimally processed would be having your vegetables pre-cut up and in that little box, or having lean protein, like lean grilled chicken, but pre-grilled for you. Those things that you spend the extra $2-3 to already have it done for you. So all you have to do is heat it up when you go home. All right. Is this going to include a tad bit more salt? Maybe. Is this going to reduce a whole lot of time that you're going to have to prepare and cook? Absolutely. So it can be worth going down that road and making sure that you make your life easy enough to stick to it. And then as you get good at that, then try and move closer and closer to like pretty much like 100% whole foods. And the way that I like to focus as far as putting your plate together, making sure that you're getting everything you need, is the PFC system that I teach in the Fit 40 program in the Kickstart. So make sure you have lean protein. That's stuff that is the majority of calories are coming from protein. I'll give you a little teaser as far as like one of the concepts I teach in the Kickstart is the zero method. So when you're looking at a protein source, if you were to add a 0 to the amount of grams of protein that are in it, it should be that many calories or less. So if it's 20 grams of protein, add a 0, 20 turns into 200, it should be 200 calories or less. And that's usually a pretty good rule of thumb with finding high quality lean protein sources. Then we got color. Make sure you get some fruit or veggie on the plate, because you're going to get a crap ton of micronutrients that are going to help you feel really, really good throughout the day. And it's going to fill you up because it's going to give you a bigger amount of food for a fraction of the calories. And along with that, you're also going to get the benefits that come with like fruit, for example, having a little bit more fiber, and veggies too. They're not super high on that because with fiber comes calories and they don't have a ton of calories, but it is what it is. And that brings number 3, which is fiber. So PFC, even though we just did it in the order of PCF. Okay. F is for fiber. And that means if you're going to have carbohydrates, just make sure they're fibrous. Okay. Instead of white bread, have whole grain bread. Instead of like a traditional pizza crust, go for a cauliflower crust. Simple stuff like that where you can make swaps, because in all honesty, if you do focus on the fiber, the carbohydrates being fibrous, then when you do that, it mitigates all those downsides you hear of when you think about carbs, like when you think about sugar. Okay. Sugar spikes, yeah, they don't happen as much when you have fiber, because it slows down digestion and it slows down the rate at which it hits your bloodstream. So you don't have those crazy spikes. And along with that, any of those negative side effects that can come with sugar spikes don't happen, because you're not getting that same level of a hit. It's not like you're downing a pixie stick. So just know carbs are not evil. They're not going to keep you fat. They're not going to make this whole thing impossible. They're going to fuel your workouts, and they're going to help you stay healthy, because fibrous carbs, like getting enough fiber in your diet, can reduce your risk for all-cause mortality and a bunch of other risk factors. So it is imperative to have it in your diet. All right. So PFC, real simple way to control for food quality. And along with all of this comes the 80-20 rule. You do not need to be perfect to get toned by summer. If you get 3 meals a day and you get these high quality, nutritious foods throughout the day, then you can afford to have one sweet treat at the end of the night. Just what I tell everybody is just have a serving. And if you're incapable of having a serving, then don't keep it in the house, because you're going to binge on it. For that, use the gas station rule or the grocery store rule, where it's like you can still have it if you're willing to go drive and go get it from the gas station or the grocery store. So if you're willing to put yourself through that, then you definitely deserve it. Okay. But along with that, get the single serving size at the grocery store, at the gas station. Single serving or the smallest one they got. I know it's tougher and tougher these days because they really try and push the family size bullshit, but it is what it is. We live in a food environment that is not ideal, but we got to learn how to make the best of it. Next is food quantity. So now that you've got all these high quality foods in the equation, it's going to be easier to feel full on less calories. So how many calories should we aim for? I personally like going with your BMR plus 200. And this is assuming that you are exercising, because some populations of people, especially the ladies in menopause, if you refuse to exercise, then the amount of calories that you're going to need to lose weight, to burn body fat, is going to be so low, it's not going to be sustainable. So that's why we're including the exercise into the equation. So when it comes to this BMR plus 200, go online to the BMR, just Google BMR calculator, and that very first one, calculator.net, is the one that I always go with. And it's been pretty spot on over the years. And this will give you your estimated BMR. But if you have an in-body machine that you use or a DEXA scan, that would be even better. So if you have your BMR from one of those, use that. And then you take that and add 200, and then that'll give you a range to stick to. So let's say your BMR is 1348. Okay. Just round that down to 1300 and then add 200. So we have 13 to 1500 calories to stick with. Okay. And the goal is to lose about a pound per week over the course of a month. The reason I say over a course of the month is because I can tell you right now, you will not lose a pound a week every single week. And it's not going to be this straight line down. That shit doesn't happen. All right. So let's get that expectation out of our heads. It's not a thing. On the month, can we lose about 4 pounds? If so, then you're nailing it. And if you're over that, good news. We're going to add some calories, because ideally we want to stick to that 1 pound mark. That way we don't lose so fast that we lose muscle, because the muscle is going to help make this process so much easier. It's going to keep you healthier. It's going to keep you feeling better, and it's going to make it easier to keep the weight off in the long term. That's why slower is better. All right. So start at that BMR plus 200 and get that range. And then from there, see how your body responds. And if you're not losing that 4 pounds per month, take a look back. Most of the time, it's a tracking issue. It's like, okay, I feel like I did all this, but I missed tracking on pretty much every single weekend, or I didn't track perfectly to the point where I included all the bites, licks, and tastes. I didn't include the cooking oil. I eyeballed this instead of putting it on the food scale. That stuff matters. Okay, when you track calories, that stuff is make or break. So make sure that you're weighing every single thing. And remember, this doesn't have to be forever. You don't need to be tied into the scale. You don't need to feel like you have to track every single thing for the rest of your life. That's literally what I teach in the Fit 40 program, is how to use it and then how to wean off it, because you shouldn't be tracking for life. You should understand how to eat relatively easily without having to like put everything down and put it into a food diary just to be sure that you're in the ballpark. All right, but before I get off track, next is accountability. Last but not least, step number 5 is accountability, because we can do and say, or we could say all the right things and say, okay, we're going to do this, 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 and this. But if it doesn't get done, nothing's going to happen. So how do we make it happen? We need something to hold us accountable. Now, I'm guessing if you're listening right now and you're struggling with getting to the place that you want to get to, you're probably not the best at holding yourself accountable, which is totally fine, because honestly, most people are not. I'm in that camp where it's like, I love having somebody in my corner to help me out, to hold me accountable, because we're so much better at staying accountable to other people than we are ourselves. It's just human nature. So if you have a friend or family member that you can tie into this journey, that is on the same journey, or they've already done it and they want to hold you accountable so you can experience what they experienced, awesome. Like, for example, my mom and dad are trying to get their nutrition back on track. So I set them up with a plan, and basically they're doing similar with different amounts as far as protein, fiber, color. And I told them, compete. Like, my dad's a pro at getting little digs at my mom, saying, oh, looks like you didn't get your protein today. And I don't have to worry about him. But I told my mom, I'm like, hey, give it right back. Like, if he's not having fibrous carbs and he's opting for the white bread, call him out on it and be like, huh, so no F for you today. Got it. Okay. Like, little playful competition like that can go a really long way. So especially for the spouses, like, if you guys want to hold each other accountable and have some fun with it, then go with that method. And then if you want to have that like top level of, okay, this person's going to hold me accountable, they actually know their shit and they've been doing this for other people, that's where a coach comes in. And that's where the Fit 40 Kickstart comes in, because I do it for free for 21 days, where you learn the whole PFC system. You learn all the things that are getting in the way of doing the basics, which is what a coach is really for. Because if you listen to the episode earlier this week with me and Aram, we talk about it. We're like, the X's and O's are the easiest part, where it's like, eat this many calories, do these types of workouts. That's not coaching. Coaching is finding the gray space that's getting in the way. It's like, okay, you have this much protein to hit, but you didn't hit it for 3 days this week. Why? And having those conversations of why we're not doing the basics and figuring out how to. So it's like, okay, well, you're missing breakfast because you're rushing out the door. Cool. Let's not try and cook a full breakfast. Let's get some protein bars. Let's have a protein shake. Let's create some overnight oats, and making it so that it's easy for you, so you can create this lifestyle that supports all these behaviors that you want to do, which is what most people are missing. They're not getting all these in-between tips and all these troubleshooting techniques that make it happen. So if you want help in that regard, go ahead and check out the Fit 40 Kickstart. Apply for the next one. They're every single month at the very beginning of the month, and we go for 21 days, and I help you as best as I possibly can to get more lean muscle, to burn body fat, and just to feel freaking amazing for possibly the first time in years. So definitely go check that out. And in the meantime, once you've already applied, go ahead and check out the Fit 40 family for some free workouts, free recipes, and a ton of motivation and even more education, because I'm dropping daily tips every single day, Monday through Friday. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that all this information helps. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to reach out on Facebook, or you can email me, and I'm more than happy to talk and help you out with whatever you got going on. All right. But like I said, that's it for today. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. But until then, go kick some ass. See you later.